You ever type something into a search bar and the result is just so perfect it feels like it literally read your mind? Well, that's not magic. It's a quiet revolution that's been happening right under our noses. So let's pull back the curtain and see the AI that's making the search engines we use every single day feel, well, almost psychic.
We've all been there, right? 1 second, you're looking for a recipe, and it gives you the exact one you were thinking of. The next, you search for something that seems super simple, and the results are just complete nonsense. So what gives? Why is search sometimes brilliant, and other times, well, a total dud?
And this slide right here perfectly captures that shift. Take a simple word like driver. The old way, it just matched keywords. It saw the word driver and just threw the whole kitchen sink at you. Golf clubs, computer software, screwdrivers, you name it. But the new AI-powered way is way smarter. It gets context. It might see you're on your phone, in the middle of a city, and correctly guess you're looking for a ride. It's the difference between a dictionary and an actual conversation.
To really appreciate just how big a deal this is, we've got to rewind a little. Let's take a look at the old world of search, which was really all about one simple and pretty flawed idea, just matching words on a page.
Think of old search engines like a librarian who can only tell you if a word appears in a book, but has no idea what the book is actually about. They used these clever-sounding methods like BM25, which were great at counting how many times your keyword showed up, but they had absolutely zero real understanding of what any of those words actually meant.
And this created this huge problem called polysemy, which honestly is just a fancy way of saying that one word can have a ton of different meanings. You search for chef, are you talking about cooking or are you talking about software? You search for apple, do you want a fruit or a phone? Without context, the old search engines were basically just playing a guessing game. And a lot of the time, they guessed wrong. This was the big wall they had to get over.
So, how in the world did we get from just matching words to search engines that can actually grasp meaning? Well, it all kicked off with this massive breakthrough, teaching machines to understand the hidden connections between words.
This classic quote is pretty much the key to the whole thing. The idea, which is called distributional semantics, is that you can figure out what a word means by looking at the other words that usually hang out with it. The word queen is almost always found near king, palace, and crown, not tractor and barn. Simple, but powerful.
And this is where it gets really clever. AI researchers came up with this thing called embeddings, and what they did was find a way to turn our messy human language into pure math. Every word gets turned into a string of numbers, a vector, which basically gives it a set of coordinates on this giant, multi-dimensional map of meaning. And on this map, words that mean similar things are placed right next to each other.
Here's a really simple way to picture it. Let's say we're mapping food based on things like sweetness or caffeine. Just look at the numbers. Green tea and cappuccino, they're kind of close neighbors, right? But the soda and the donut are way off in their own little corner. That is exactly what the AI is doing, but instead of just 3 dimensions, it's using hundreds of hidden connections it learned from reading basically the entire internet. And that is the magic trick. Because of this map, a search engine finally gets synonyms and related ideas. You can search for sofa and it knows you'd probably also be interested in results about a couch or a love seat, because on its map, all those words are neighbors.
Okay, so understanding words was a huge step, but it was really only half the battle. The next big piece of the puzzle involved learning from the true experts on what's relevant. Us. Yep, every single time we click, we're sending a signal.
Seriously, think about it. Every single thing you do on a search page is basically a vote. When you click a link, you're giving it a big thumbs up, saying, yes, this was a good result. When you scroll right past something, that's a thumbs down. We are all constantly and mostly unconsciously training the AI. And here's what that feedback loop looks like in the wild. Let's say you search for iPad. A bunch of results pop up. You scroll past a few, but then you click on a review for the iPad Pro, and you even add it to your cart. Ding, ding, ding. The search engine sees that and learns a super powerful lesson. For the search iPad, the result iPad Pro is a really, really good one. Now just take your one little vote and multiply it by millions of other people making billions of clicks every single day. What you get is this massive, constantly changing model of what humanity as a whole actually thinks is relevant. It's relevance crowdsourced on a global scale.
All right, so we have machines that can understand words and can learn from all our clicks. But how does it all fit together? Well, the final piece of this puzzle is something that acts like a digital brain for the whole system.
And it's called a knowledge graph. This isn't just a list of words. It's a web of real-world things, people, places, ideas, and most importantly, the relationships between all of them.
So it knows that Steve Jobs is connected to Apple, which is connected to the iPhone. It gets the whole picture.
And it stores all this knowledge in a surprisingly simple way, as these little three-part facts called triples. You've got a subject, a relationship, and an object. So data scientists build machine learning models. And by connecting millions and millions of these simple facts, it builds this incredibly complex understanding of the world. And this is how it finally cracks that ambiguity problem we talked about at the beginning. If you search for chef and recipes, the knowledge graph lights up the part of its brain that has to do with cooking. But if you search for chef and DevOps, it instantly knows you're in the tech world and brings up stuff like Puppet and Ansible. It's all about context. So you take all these pieces, the word embeddings, the user signals, the knowledge graphs, you put them all together, and it's brought us to right now, a moment where search is changing from a simple tool into something completely new, a conversation.
I mean, just remember what search used to be. A list of 10 blue links. That's it. It was a starting point. The search engine found some documents for you, but the hard work of reading everything and finding the actual answer, yeah, that was all I knew.
But that is changing so fast. Now you ask a question, and more often you get a direct answer, all synthesized and summarized for you right at the top of the page. The search engine is no longer just a librarian pointing you to the right aisle, it's becoming the researcher who reads the books for you.
The technology that's making all this happen is called Retrieval Augmented Generation, but everybody just calls it RAG. And it's the real secret sauce here. It basically combines the creative power of a large language model with the factual, up-to-the-minute accuracy of a great search engine. It's the best of both worlds.
So here's the simple three-step dance. First, the system does a really quick, powerful search to retrieve all the best sources of information. Then it augments the AI. It hands all that information to a large language model as context. And finally, the LLM reads that fresh context and generates a brand new, human-like answer for you, backed up by the sources it just read.
So we've come this incredible way, from just matching keywords to this deep semantic understanding, and now all the way to AI-generated answers. Search is no longer just a tool for finding information, it's becoming a partner in understanding it. And that leaves us with a really big question. As search becomes less of a tool and more of an expert we can talk to, how is that going to change the way we learn and discover everything?